Yay Networks.
Welcome to the Great Girlfriends podcast, where we discuss life, love, laughter, and everything in between. I'm your host, Sybil, and I can't wait for you to hear all of the Great Girlfriend magic on today's show. So without further ado, grab something great to drink, grab your pen and your paper, and get ready for this week's episode. Enjoy! Happy Wednesday, great girlfriends. Happy Wednesday. Happy back to school. Happy fall. Happy feel good day. Happy hump day. Happy everything today. I hope you're happy wherever you are. Clearly, that's my narrative, and that's what I'm staying focused on. Because as I was talking to Casey coming into the studio today, I was like, this week has been weeking. It has been like lots of stuff, lots of things. I don't know. I've been in like what is that toy where you take it and it bams the heads pop up and then you. A whack-a-mole. I feel like I've been in a whack-a-mole of life where I'm like, yo, not me. Like it's been bobbing and weaving. I've been bobbing and weaving all week. And I am victorious as you are victorious. But let's not pretend that there haven't been some things, remixes, lots of remixes and whack-a-moles this week. So I'm very happy to be in a clear spot. And here today on this recording with you, because I did take a 2-week, just a replay week where I took some time to replay some of the top episodes from the podcast that did really well, that I loved, that you all apparently loved. And I hope that you enjoyed hearing them yet again. But the reason I took those 2 weeks is because, again, as the weeks were weeking, anyone that's a mom that's listening right now is fully aware that back to school, we need a whole back to school. How do I say this? How do I say this so my kids know I love them? And yeah, back to school. That's all I want to say. I just want to say back to school. And then whatever that means to you, let it mean that to you. But what it meant to me was, what size do my kids actually wear? Geez, that boy did grow over summer. I just ordered that. Did he grow since the order? Because that happens. Oh, wait, the uniforms are coming late. So what you mean? I got to run out now and hit every store under the sun to try to find uniforms 2 days before school starts back? That was my whole back to school scenario. Then I was like, oh, good Lord, you guys do need lunches. That's a thing. You're probably going to want to eat. And I think I'm supposed to help you eat. So all those things were happening. And then I was like, hair, back to school hair. Why don't you kids remind me that back to school hair is something that you want? And I wasn't thinking of these things, great girlfriends, because I was still in summer mode. Quite frankly, I wasn't ready to fall back into back to school. So I got smacked in the face with a lot of things to do. And my son is in football season. Shout out to Sam Moody, number 7. The ace in my heart, love of my life, my boy crush, who was doing extremely well, but having to be prepared with his practices, my daughter's schedule, new routines because she's now in middle school. Again, they needed clothes, they needed shoes, they needed hairstyles, backpacks. Because, of course, she forgot about backpacks. I mean, I wouldn't have been the most forgettable mom if I didn't forget about backpacks. Now, I do want to shout out Kwaku because he did manage to get supplies. So they had supplies, no backpack. How about that? But God. So we ran out. And thank God, I want to thank you, Lord, that they were simple backpack requests this year. It wasn't trying to find something that needed to ship in 2 weeks, etc. It was a quick run to some local stores to grab backpacks. And so we got it done. But I want to acknowledge every single parent or guardian who had to go through back to school mode and is planning their next vacation. I feel you, and possibly invite me to come along, because if I don't have a football game or a volleyball game or a recording or something else on my calendar, maybe I can go too. So that's what's been going on. So I have a ton of updates because in true Sybil form, I do a terrible job of giving updates in the moment. And every time I leave a recording, I'm like, crap, I forgot to tell the great girlfriends all of these wonderful things that I think they'd want to know. I also want to share with you, before I go any further, that I am recording live in our Facebook group, The Great Girlfriends. So shout out to everyone in the Facebook group that's here with me today. If you're not a member of our Facebook community, you need to join. It is a hotspot where women are coming together. Over 21,000 women are united in our Facebook group to be friends to one another, to love one another, to create a safe space, to laugh, to just unwind, kick back, ask questions and not feel judged, and to challenge one another. And it's been a safe space since we started this podcast in 2000. Well, we started the group in 2016, but it's been a safe space that I'm incredibly proud of. It is a private group. But two things I'm proud of about a few things, but the two that I want to cite today are, one, we've never had to have moderator approved posts in our group. So since 2016, women have been able to post freely. Have we had to remove posts that should have been moderated? Absolutely. But have we ever had to gate the post before they went live? No, we have not. The women that are a part of our Facebook group have preserved the community, have kept it safe, kept it fun, kept it connected. And we have events inside of the community. And so I'm really proud of that fact that we've never had to have moderator approved posts. So, if I want to go in and shout out like Summer Body and say what I want to say, or drop a book or ask for a prayer or laugh or whatever it be, I'm able to do that as any member is. And we've never had to have those posts gated. And I'm very, very proud of that because I know that in most communities that is a thing. So I want to shout out our Facebook community for holding it down and making it possible for us to have this safe space. The other thing that I'm really proud of about this group is that Facebook actually honored us for Galentine's Day 21 and 22 as communities that women should love. And I'm so, so incredibly proud of that I didn't even know they were watching, y'all. Of course they're always watching, right? But then you forget they're watching and you start being like, they're not watching. Yeah, they're watching. They're watching and they celebrated us. And I'm really, really proud of that. And I tell the women in the community all the time, you're doing God's work because so many people are hungry and thirsty for a safe space where they can just be. And to feel like you have that space is incredibly important. And so the Facebook group has been that anchor space and will be as long as we can. And I want to thank Facebook for even honoring us and recognizing us across Facebook and giving us that recognition, and also creating a space where group owners, moderators can ask questions and we can learn how to really optimize our group experience for our members. So that's something that I'm just super proud of. So I'm going to shout out the Facebook group and just let you all know that you should be in there because we also trade tips on life hacks, things that we talk about on the podcast. Yes. And then we also trade other hacks from ages 21, drinking age, all the way up to, we had questions come last week from a woman that was 71. And I was like, wow, because I didn't imagine that our age span was that wide. But I do appreciate that group has become a space where, I'm thinking multi-generational women are connecting. So saying that to say, it's been a lot going on, but I feel like I didn't do enough proper updates. So it's okay with you this episode. I really want to update you on the what's up that's been happening in my life. I have to celebrate my 2 years in LA. 2 years in LA. Whoop, whoop, put it up. Whoop, whoop, put it up. The LA people will tell me that I'm still not a resident. They're like, girl, you're visiting. Stay tuned. People tell me it takes 8 years before you really start to like acclimate in LA. And I'm like, I don't have 8 years to decide that I live here. Like, come on, taxes ought to count for something. So we are LA residents. And I'm very happy that these 2 years have been so good. I knew God was good, on the East Coast. And I was like, God, are you still God of LA and California? Because of all the things that I hear about LA life, about LA culture, LA people. And I just want to get on this podcast and dispel all of those myths. My experience has just been wonderful. It has been wonderful. I have had such a dynamic transition into Los Angeles that I kind of feel like I'm floating some days because I'm like, is it really like for real? This is how great community can be here. And that's my key word for the day is community. It's probably my key word for life. Well, second to love, but my key word is community. I have been able to plug into the most dynamic, loving, warm, fun, energetic, curious, adventurous community of people who are just in place, who just love life, go through everyday choices like I do and are there to support me. Since I've been here, and I needed to remember to go outside, because I came in 2021. Everybody went outside. I wasn't fully outside. So the nerve of me to move twice in a pandemic, right? The nerve, right? So I moved in 2020 from Jersey to Memphis to be with my father during his transition. And then 21, we moved from Memphis to LA to, our new home. And so, come on, like, I sort of was outside before other people, like moving outside, but people weren't really out. But I have great girlfriends here, community here who reminded me to get outside, like experience nature, go have a lunch. Let's go to a concert. Let's go skating. Let's do some of the LA things, be a part of the culture, get acclimated, start to love life here, because there was a big part of me that was still missing home, what I thought was home, which is New Jersey, New York area. And saying, well, they don't do it. Do they do it like they do in Jersey? Where are the bagels? Still haven't found the bagels. Don't know if I will. But I was longing for things that were so familiar to a totally different environment. And I was in a place where I was sort of reclusing a bit and just kind of hanging out with me and, being very basic. And that's just not how I like to live. But I realized that I was afraid to try to nurture new community. So I want to thank all my new LA community. I mean, so far and wide, it has just been wonderful. My football community, because plugging into youth sports is a big deal for me. If you have kids, you understand when you plug into their activities and you go to their activities, you see other parents, right? And we do this. All parents do it. Don't tell me you don't. But parents, we scope the scene and we're kind of vibing to see like who's who and what's what and how people move, how they coach their kids, whether or not their kids are serious, if they discipline their kids, do they feel fun? And after maybe like 2 or 3 times seeing people, did I introduce myself? Hey, I don't think we met. Oh, our kids on the same team. Or, oh, I've seen you at X, Y, and Z game. And it starts to build connection and relationship. And so within our football community, across Sam's teams, we've just met some wonderful families who we've journeyed with to different games, and we've connected and stayed plugged into what their kids are doing, go watch their kids play when Sam has a bye week, and just have fun. And so there's been that community. There's been my kids' school community, which has just been a blessing. Couldn't have been planted in a better school. I won't mention it because I always like to protect my kids' privacy, but I love my kids' school community. I'm super incredibly grateful for the village that my kids' school community creates, and the fact that I feel like I've known so many of these people for such a long time. Like, it didn't feel new. And so when you meet your people, you start thinking like, I feel like you were in this chapter of my life. Like, how are we just now doing this? It just feels like we've been together, and then you kind of feel like you're crushing a bit. You're like, man, I kind of want to go deeper with you, but I just met you. So is that too awkward if I try to ask you out? It's kind of like dating. And then the more you ask out, the more you realize that you found your people where you can just be comfortable, safe, challenged, and stimulated. So I want to shout out my school community. And then I will shout out my church community, which is California Worship Center, because Kwaku and I and our kids have found a wonderful home in our church community. Wonderful home in adjacent to my school community. But again, protect my kids' privacy at all costs. My church community is just wonderful. I love that it's fun. It's energetic. It's very youthful. I feel stimulated every week by my pastor. There are people that are in my industry. So I do see people that I know, and I'm meeting lots of new great women. My kids are meeting people. My husband has his own people. So we all have our independent peopleage happening inside of the village. And it's really good. And so I just want to thank all of my new LA friends and family for just standing in place and loving our family and accepting us and embracing us over the past 2 years and all of our years to come. We're having a good time in LA, and we're feeling good about being here on the West Coast. And one of the things that I've had a few conversations this year with my therapist about what I was missing. And she encouraged me to move forward, to learn how to move forward. My doctors were all in New York. I'm not ashamed. I was going back and forth. I ain't ashamed. That it is what it is. My hairstylist, we're back east, and I was just going back for appointments and things like that. And I needed to learn how to move forward and trust that the resources that I need for this season are available here. So that means picking out new doctors. I've had the same dentist for 13 years. And I know my doctor was like, girl, if you don't stop move forward, you got to move forward. And it feels like a breakup for me. And I had to learn how to grow out of that. So for anyone who's transitioning, you're in a new season and you got to move forward, just remember that the same provision that you had before, if not more, is available when you trust and you move forward. So take a chance on making some new choices. And if you figure out that they're not the ones for you, make some newer ones, make different ones, update your choices, but don't get stuck in yesterday like I was and spending money to be back where I was and forgetting that God loves LA too. So new and noteworthy. I want to stay here because there's so many updates. So I've been reminding my kids of this. And then I was like, I need to make sure I remind the Great Girlfriends community about the importance of supplements and taking your vitamins. And so I just started a different vitamin regimen probably 3 months ago that I absolutely love because my body has changed and I needed to adapt my body, my supplements to who I am now. So I'm taking new vitamins and I revisited them because I realized I was feeling sleepy, irritable, foggy. Brain fog, we deal with that. Many women start to deal with that at different cycles of their month, in cycles during the month. And I was just feeling a bit unhappy. And I was like, what is it about my routine that I need to switch up? And a lot of what I was supplementing was based off of who I was when I was in my 30s, when I was, in a different stage of life, had different needs for my life. And now my body has changed. So I'm saying that to say, you make a choice about supplements. And the reason why I say this is because in our Facebook group, we did do a survey to find out, like, y'all, are you taking supplements? Come to find out, the majority of women were like, yeah, no. I should have said, are you taking medication? And I bet statistically we would have gotten higher results. So for me, my mind says I'd rather take supplements before I have to take medication. And so I look at supplements as a preventative way to keep my body my body sufficient in its being, as I go through my day and I'm not eating all the things that I need to eat proper. And even with that, there is still more that we need to add to our body. So I just want to remind you to, in your checkups, in your wellness visits with your doctors, get an update on the supplements that your body needs. Have your blood test done and start asking questions based off of your blood test to find out if there's any deficiencies. A lot of times people will have anemia and they think it's iron. It's not always iron. Sometimes, you may need to take a different vitamin. You might need vitamin D. There's different supplements that you could use. And so I just want to encourage you, as I did, because I did move to LA and had a lot more needs. And I also want to express that coming out of grief, dealing with grief and having a very, I want to say a minor depression that I was experiencing as a result of grief, having low dopamine levels, I needed to take different supplements to help really boost my mental esteem and help me to feel good again. Right. And so do your diligence to take care of your body, to take your supplements. Even if you've been taking them for years and you're like, this vitamin works, just check in, get your blood work and start looking at it and find out, what you need to adjust, if anything. And then share your success stories in the Facebook group, because all of us are looking for the most natural, healthiest ways to sustain longevity and quality of life without having to take a ton of medication, because no one wants to have the life of paying hundreds of dollars every month for medication. But if we can be preventative and proactive, which is routines, foods, keeping their heart rate healthy, and supplements and water. I was just talking to Casey about being dehydrated and dealing with a headache. That's on me. I know thanks, Casey. I know what I need to do. Make those adjustments in your everyday life. All right. This other thing I want to talk to you about, you may or may not have seen that my husband and I were on two recent episodes of Couch Conversations for Black Love, and it was so much fun. Oh my gosh, we had an excellent time talking about our love journey. If you're new to the podcast, you may not know that Kwaku and I have been married for 17 years, and it's been fun. It's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of lessons. I feel like I've learned more than he has. I feel like he's taught me a whole lot. And I feel like I have really benefited from being in partnership with the right person. And I feel like I'm a better woman because of my husband. And I hope that he's proud of the legacy that we're building together, because I truly am. And I'm also honored to be his wife. And so being invited to jump into Couch Conversations was a gift, because I've watched Black Love's YouTube series and I've watched on OWN, and I always love the transparency of other couples, and I just like learning from other people. And so, you know, every couple should be taking notes from another couple if you see that there's something they're doing well. So Kwaku and I have gotten a lot of stuff that we've done well, and I got a lot of stuff we're still learning. So it was very special for us to be able to say out loud, listen, we still figuring that out. Now I'm taking notes, but here I kind of got the sauce on this. And so if you haven't gone to take a look at Couch Conversations on Black Love's YouTube, go take a look. This new season, I think it's season 5, is awesome. It really is awesome. Not even just our episodes that are like super amazing, if I do say so myself, but the other episodes are just so awesome and really reaffirming that love takes work, love takes time, and it takes intention. And if you do put those into it, you can have really beautiful love relationships, be it romantic, be it friendships, etc. So I just wanted to shout that out. My other shout out is a mega shout out too. I was on the way here, like bopping. I was bopping. If you saw me on the 5, then you know I was getting my whole life, because Erica Campbell's new album, I Love You, just came out. And y'all, when I tell you this album is amazing, it is absolutely amazing. First of all, the range, I don't even have a genre for the album. I know people would say, well, it's gospel because it's Erica Campbell, but it's not just gospel. I mean, the way she taps into country, the way she taps a bit into, she taps into gospel, obviously, R&B. There's so many like really, really tangible experiences with music inside of this album. Her vocal range on this album is insane. Hearing her, challenge her voice in new ways was absolutely amazing. And I have a couple favorites off the album already. I just heard it this morning. It just dropped today, and I heard it this morning. And I already have a couple favorites, because I definitely have played the one that got away. I played it probably 5 times because it lyrically, like it hit me it hit my lower back, like the gospel part of my back, where I wanted to cry. And I also wanted to like shout, because it is such a testament to how God's love does come for us and chase us. And so that's my absolute favorite off the album. She sings I Love the Lord. It hasn't been done since Whitney that I know of. And oh my goodness, it is like the hairs on my arm stand up, because it's so beautiful. It's so rich and it's powerful. And Erica don't know that I'm talking about her album like this, but I couldn't help but tell you about it, because I want everybody that's listening to go and download this album. I listen on Spotify, so wherever you catch albums, just go download it and listen. She has another one called Thank You. I think it's Thank You. Thank You is so fire. It's such a bop. I know we're going to hear it in the club somewhere. I don't go to the club no more, but if those of you that goes to the club, you're going to hear it in the club somewhere. It's just a bop. It's got a bounce to it. And it's got this you got like a move to it. And it is just a fire song. So I just wanted to shout out my new and noteworthy is Erica Campbell's new album, I Love You. And Erica, it is quality work. Erica and Warren did God's work, marvelous work on this album. It is going to be your new favorite. It's going to be hard for you to pick a song. But for me, the one that got away is the one that really hits the gospel part of my back. And so just wanted to shout that out and remind all of you to check out that album. And thank you, Erica, for continuing to put out such diverse music that we as Christians can enjoy, because we like bass too. We like to dance too. We like to rock too. We like to do all the things. So thank you for giving us music that we can move to, that even my kids will listen to and appreciate. I love that. So even when I put on the car in the back seat, I'm going to feel them kind of like, yeah. So thank you for that. So last thing I want to talk about today is questions I've been asking myself lately. And I asked this question in the Facebook group because, a lot of times we sit with the questions in our head. And when we sit with these questions, we get these frustrations because we feel like we don't have the answers to meet our questions right in the moment, right? And so the questions that I've been asking myself lately, I had to write them down. For example, back to school week, I started to ask myself, what the heck did I get myself into not planning properly? Why didn't I plan properly for this? And then as I addressed that question, I realized that I was anxious around back to school. And when I'm anxious, I procrastinate and I put things on pause that really need immediate attention. So I'm glad that I sat with the question, because as I sat with the question and did a little bit of self-assessment, all the answers that I needed came back to me. And so that's one of the questions that I was asking myself. And I put this question up in our Facebook group, and a few people threw out the questions they've been asking themselves, like, will my business ever get off the ground? Or will I ever meet my husband? Or, somebody was like, what the heck am I going to make for dinner? Right. One question was so deep. I almost, I had to sit with how I responded to this woman. Her question was, what's wrong with me? And that one hit me hard. Like, oh my goodness, how does she feel? What's wrong with me was her question. But that's the question she's been asking herself. And you've probably been asking yourself questions, big or small, lately. And I just want to remind you to be open to asking yourself questions. Don't be afraid to challenge yourself. When you hear a question, or when you have something that's thought-provoking, or a situation that forces you to pause, ask yourself the big question and write it down. But don't rush for the answer. Sit with the question long enough to let that self-evaluation reflect back to you what's true. If you sit with it long enough, I promise you the answers are either in you or right in front of you or around you, or they're coming to you to confirm, what you need to know in the season that you're in. And so what I've gotten myself into led me to the fact that I was anxious, which I was like, why am I anxious? It's just back to school. I do this. Like, I got a 10th grader, 7th grader. I'm not new on this thing. But what it was for me was my daughter started middle school. My son's going to 10th grade. He's football season was kicking off. There are so many changes that are happening with my kids. They're just growing up. I only have 2 more summers with my son. I started stacking all of these thoughts that made me incredibly anxious. And then I went into paralysis. I just froze. And so I found myself rushing to make choices, and then I had to reverse them because I wasn't paying attention to sizes on clothes, and I wasn't, very clear in my head when I was moving. All the answers came to me when I took the time to ask the question, and then I sat in self-evaluation. So I just wanted to remind you today not to run from self-evaluation. Don't run from self-evaluation. Don't run from self-reflection. Don't get busy. Don't get busy, because we love to ask a question and then go do something to just get away from it. Don't run from what, is a valuable lesson that is really trying to develop you or grow you further than you are right now. Take the time and have the courage to say, you know what? My life deserves this answer, right? If I'm asking this question, that means my life deserves the answer that's coming my way. So be willing to just kind of sit with it. I had to ask myself the other day, I was in a space where somebody that I love dearly, we were kind of distant, and I was like, man, we're kind of distant right now. What's up with that? And that was my question that I've been asking lately. And what I realized was that I and that the other person had not been intentional enough about investing in quality time with one another. Instead of investing in time, I was looking at the way that our missed communication was going and going, dang, we can't seem to catch up. We haven't planned how we're going to get together either, right? So I can look at it from, half glass half empty or glass half full and say, hey, have we planned to get together, or have we really, have we not planned, have we missed each other, or have we not planned or been intentional about how we get together? So the question you ask yourself will lead you to self-reflection, self-evaluation. And when you get there, stay there for a minute. Just look around. Pay attention to what your heart and your mind is speaking back to you. Write it down. And it's okay to get honest with flaws and go, you know what? I don't do this that well. That's why I'm facing this consequence. Or this question is threatening me because it's tapping into some stuff that I've never fully developed in. I've got some growing to do. Be willing to sit with the things that come back to you. And then once they do come back to you and you realize they're areas of growth, you can make the corrections. You can take steps in a different direction. But if you never sit with it, if you always run, if you always tell yourself you don't have time for it, if you don't invest in self-reflection, and investing in self-reflection is taking time out, it's stepping away from busy, it's getting quiet, right? It's like shutting stuff off a little earlier at night so you can sit with you, or waking up a little earlier, and instead of jumping into everything and everybody else, jumping into you and getting into a quiet space. So, investing in that self-reflection and self-evaluation is essential to you really getting to know yourself better, and also journeying with your heart, mind, and spirit, aligning so you can move forward from old patterns. So I just wanted to give you that because as we started asking those questions and I started to see what our great girlfriends were asking lately, I realized, okay, we got a lot more things that we can do differently, better, stronger, greater if we just put the practice in. So I just want to give that to you, to put that practice in, and to trust that when you do it, God's got your back. God's got your back. So that's it for this week. I'm super happy I have some more updates that we're going to talk about in the next episode, but I'm super happy that we had this time together. And I'm also grateful for every single one of you that has been journeying with this podcast for 8 years, been loving the community, been fully supportive of our events and experiences and products, and staying plugged into everything that we've got going on social media. So thank you so much. Love you so much. Have a wonderful Wednesday. And don't forget to share this podcast with your great girlfriends. Peace.
All right, great girlfriends. Did you enjoy this week's episode of the podcast? If so, would you please give us your amazing review on iTunes? Every single review helps another great girlfriend get plugged into the podcast and the community. Speaking of community, make sure you join our Facebook group at The Great Girlfriends. Follow us on Instagram at The Great Girlfriends and on Twitter at _greatGFS. I'm Sybil Amuti and I'm out. Peace.
Yay Networks.